Have you started?
No, we were just sitting here.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Just an update on that meeting I went to last week.
For what, Penny?
Harbor
Oh, okay.
resiliency.
Sure. And maybe we'll just update the commission before we're done tonight about the parking lots.
Okay.
All right?
But other than that, I think we're all set. So I'll
Okay.
make a motion to accept the agenda with those two add-ons.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. And just anybody in the audience for Bailey's Causeway, that's gonna get continued, sorry. So, the two 36 and 36R Bailey's Causeway, are gonna get continued to July 15th. But I can start by, well, a couple more minutes. Anything you wanna throw in real quick before we get to these,
Well, we could talk about, there was a request, to have a discussion about a recommendation letter for a piece of property on Zero Country Way. We could talk about that one, Frank.
did you get that, that was through CPC, Penny?
Yeah, I cannot pronounce his last name, but he's got like an acre of land. It's right over next to Steverman's. It's a little slither that goes out to the reservoir.
Not even an acre.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
yeah, like 90% wetland. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I haven't seen his app that's next week. So I don't know what he's asking. If CPC did buy it, he wouldn't get a heck of a lot of money. The only thing, as they say, never say never. I don't ever see it being buildable, but you never know down the road. And it does connect right to the reservoir. So I don't know if we do want to support it or not. It's not as big as the other piece that we did support, Marachi's, a few years ago. That was a much bigger piece. I think it was 5 or 6 acres, and it did have a little bit of uplands in the middle of it. So, and it's, I think there's 2 houses between these 2 plots of land. So I think it's kind of a toss-up. In the end, it'll be up to CPC whether they bring it forward or not. I guess Water Resource Committee gave them a letter of support. And
Who sponsors it, Penny?
who's sponsoring it? He is himself.
Okay. The difficulty, you know,
Yeah, I
is if it's purchased with community preservation funds, it has to have a
Yeah.
conservation restriction.
Yeah.
And those are kind of hard to come up with for real small parcels.
Mm-hmm.
Is it adjoining anything we already own?
No. It just runs from
It adjoins the reservoir
well,
itself.
it runs from Country Way and goes right down
Down
to the reservoir.
right.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a slither compared
there's-
to the other piece.
Yeah.
Water Department, town-owned water land, but not Conservation Commission land.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get some more information.
Yeah, you know, it'll be presented next week. And like I did tell him when he contacted me months ago, that we don't always give a letter of support until after CPC decides whether or not to go forward with it.
Right.
So I don't feel as though we're hindering him at all by waiting until we have, you know, some more information.
Okay.
I can have that for us at the next meeting, Frank.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're on to 6:20, so I'd take a motion to continue 36 and 36R Bailey's Causeway until July 15th.
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 2731 Hood Road, St. Mary's and St. George Coptic Orthodox Church. And we opened this, I think, at the last meeting and just continued it. So I know there's a few folks that are interested in this. If you can see that, if you can't, maybe we can turn it just a little bit. Or maybe you want to shift over a little bit. Penny, can you,
Yeah, I'm okay.
I think if anybody in the audience is interested in this, you want to shift over this way a little bit
I'll share.
so you can see the plan.
Share this?
I can actually see it.
Can you?
Yeah. I may want to look at it if there's something close.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Hazem Dani from CHA Consultant. I'm here representing the church, St. Mary, St. George Coptic Orthodox Church, in attendance with Father Bishoy on behalf of the church. Our project is located in 2731 Hood Road. The site is about 15 plus acres, which includes the church building, school building, and it's divided to two major areas. You can see in the black line over here, that's the property line. And then here's the other part of the property, which extends all the way to Hatherley Way. The site is mapped on Mass DEP data layer as an extensive wetland system that extends from the edge of the parking lot over there, and then it goes as a U shape, and then it extends back up, and then extends all the way down here, which includes also this part of the property. After a few investigations on the property, it has been determined that this part of the parcel is accurately mapped, and it includes a BVW, a border and vegetated wetland, but this part of the property only includes two small areas that include wetlands, and they're isolated. We designated them as isolated vegetated wetland B, which is that long blue shape that you see on the plan. It goes parallel or adjacent to Ingrid Lane, and then there's a small piece of isolated vegetated wetland, which is about 2,000 square feet. We designated that with isolated vegetated wetland C. You can see that the buffer lines between isolated vegetated wetland B and C overlap, so they become as a one zone thing. You can see them with the colors. This line represents the 50-foot buffer. This line represents the 100-foot buffer. And then on the BVW, going back to that area, which is the border and vegetated wetland A, we designated it as border and vegetated wetland A. The green shade is the 50-foot buffer, and then that orange yellow color is the 50 to 100-foot buffer. Our project consists of two different parts. The first part is we are requesting an after-the-fact permitting for above-ground propane tanks that were installed next to the school building. Those tanks are partially located in the 50-foot buffer, and they're partially located in the 50 to 100-foot buffer. So basically, the applicant is asking for a waiver from the local regulations to allow the existence of the above-ground tanks in the 50-foot buffer. I should mention that the above-ground tanks were installed in a lawn area that has been previously disturbed, almost all the way up to the wetland part. You can see that the edge of pavement also exists very close to the wetland line. Those tanks were set in that location based on discussion with the installer and the fire department. Also the NFPA, the fire code requires that the tanks to be set back 25 feet from the building. So it was determined that this location is the best location to access the tanks. That, for example, if you put the tanks here, it would be very hard for the truck to come in and then extend the hose or do whatever to fill them up. So it was determined that this location is the best location for the tanks. Also, the other part of the project is the church proposes to clear 50,800 square feet of wooded area. Part of it falls within the 100-foot buffer to the IVWs. This part you can see there in the dark shaded green. This area is 10,000 square feet, 800. Out of that area, 4,300 square feet has been cleared in the past for one reason or another. You can see the existing tree line goes up and then goes around back and then goes that way. We are proposing also to install a 1,750 square feet impervious playground area, which is going to be treated and mitigated using an infiltration trench. In addition to the infiltration trench, we have 2 grass swales that reduce and mitigate the increase of runoff generated from the site. So again, this area is partially located in the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, and this buffer zone is not subject to the Wetland Protection Act since it's associated with isolated vegetative wetlands. We ran the calculation for the volume of this long area of isolated vegetative wetland, and it's not eligible to be designated as an isolated land subject to flooding because it doesn't hold the required volume, which is one quarter acre foot. So this land is just an isolated vegetative wetland that is subject to the local bylaw, and same as this one. This one is subject to the protection of the Wetland Protection Act. Questions?
Is there a plan for the field, or the playground? Do you have any more detail?
That playground?
Yeah.
What you're gonna build.
We don't, it's just something for permitting at this point, but at some point they will develop a plan for it.
Okay. Penny?
That would be my question, where part of it will be in the 100-foot buffer, am I right? That would wanna know what types of material and so forth.
It's actually outside of the 100-foot buffer.
I thought it was just when the whole field would be outside the 100.
Yes, the playground area is outside of the 100-foot buffer. And more than likely will be poured in place rubber material.
Okay,
type.
yeah, like we did on the Scituate
Yeah,
property.
it would be only subject to, kids
It's small.
playing.
Yeah.
For all
It
that
wouldn't be
litigation.
subject to de-icing or anything like that.
Yeah,
Um,
no, at this moment, I don't.
The site has been reviewed many times. It's currently under review by Merrill Engineers for the stormwater permit and design. And it's also under review by Ecotech. What is it? Ecotech. For the confirmation of the wetland line. And my understanding that they came out on site with our wetland scientist, who is Chris Locus from Locus Environmental.
Yeah.
And they have confirmed the wetland line, but we haven't received the letter because they just came out a few days ago.
So-
I think the letter came today, Amy?
Yeah, I saw it today.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did too.
Did
I
we
didn't
forward
see
it
it.
to you? Oh,
Well, you're
we
gonna
need to
get
forward
it.
it to you, okay. Sorry.
You're gonna get it.
We do have some outstanding stormwater design comments and issues. We have addressed them all today. We sent an electronic copy to Jen and Amy. I have hard copies for her use. So again, we still have the stormwater permit design under review.
So we
This
got to
one.
continue for that.
So, there's a temporary sediment basin
This
To
is
be
something
construct-
during construction.
because of the tree clearing. Uprooting the
It's something
trees.
required by EPA because of the area that is being cleared. It's more than 1 acre. So we're subject to submit a notice of intent with the EPA before their construction starts. And as part of their requirement, they require a temporary sediment basin to be installed, and it has a specific volume. The storage volume should be can't remember the exact number, but I think it's 3,500 cubic feet per acre or something like that. I believe it's on the detail sheet.
Well, my guess is that's to collect any sedimentation that might
During
wash off
construction.
during
Yes.
construction, which is basically tree removal, because there's very little grading that you're doing.
Yes, yes,
Although then you're gonna turn this back into lawn,
lawn.
so then that gets filled in, and that becomes part of the lawn.
This gets filled in, yes.
So then these swales, this mitigation, is that, all of that is just for that little playground? Those swales
Yes, the
are larger than the
The
playground.
Scituate stormwater regulations and bylaw requires that no increase in runoff volume and no increase in peak discharge rates
And you've run
for all
the,
major storms, yes.
you've run the calcs, because going from woods to lawn is not usually an increase in
It is
runoff.
not, but it does play with the time of concentration, which increases the peak discharge rate, and we needed the swales. to
You need
mitigate
the
this.
swales to mitigate that, okay. That seems like a lot, but, all right.
Paul?
questions.
Jen?
No, I was out for one of the field visits with Amy and Frank, so I remember walking through the blue area. It was good to see it finalized.
Okay. Amy, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, well, sure, yeah, so, like Hazem said, we've got 2 peer reviews that are in process, one for the stormwater and the other for the resource area delineations that they're showing. And we did get a comment letter back from our field visit on Friday, and it appears that, the wetland scientist concurs with their delineation. So that's good news. As you know, we also had a circuit rider who was a mass soil scientist out there also previously, and he was also in agreement. So that's good news. But specifically, I think we wanted to open tonight, hear the project, and let abutters voice their concerns, so we can at least know what they are. And expecting that the meeting will continue to the 15th, at which time we can bring in both wetland scientists, and they can talk to you intelligently about their findings, because it's a little different in that the GIS did show a larger area mapped under their data layer, their wetland data layer. Oftentimes you find that it's the other way around. There's more wetland than less, but in this case it was reversed, and it appears that there's less than more. So that's something that needs to be corrected at the state level going forward too. But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Will we have the stormwater review back by next meeting, do you think?
I would say so, because
Yeah.
we've had comments now. Hazem's addressed the comments, and
Okay.
so
No, I was hoping.
yeah, and so Merrill will. I don't think that there are very many comments actually, so I think that that'll be worked out by then.
Okay, thank you.
So now, anybody in the audience that would like to have any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
We have.
And you want to just state your name and address, please?
Cara Doran, 540 Hadley Road. My mother, Margaret Doran, owns property that abuts this on Hadley Road, and we just want to make sure that the stormwater drain is not going to produce runoff water onto the property to cause more,
Sure.
yeah.
Do you want to explain the stormwater piece a little bit?
Yeah, again, as I said, the stormwater regulations, the Scituate stormwater regulations and bylaw requires that any project cannot increase the stormwater runoff or volume at any event, at any storm event. And we addressed that through our design. We received some comments, we addressed them, and we still don't anticipate any increase in runoff due to this project.
When he says that he's received comments, so on a project like this, although maybe Mr. Auberg could figure it out, in most cases, the commission would hand this off to a third party. We hire a consultant, in this case it's Merrill Associates. Their engineer reviews his calculations. they had a few questions and comments. The engineers have discussed it. They'll do some tweaking on the plan to assure us that the information they gave us is correct.
Yeah, I have the updated plan, and again, we didn't change anything based on the comments. We changed the calculations as requested, but that didn't affect the plan at all.
Okay. But they're showing swales and depressions where if there's increase in water flow, those would be held in those areas until they dissipate. Okay? Anybody else? One more. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Bronsky. As you know, I'm an attorney, and I represent Christopher Scanzillo, who owns the property at 8 Inglewood Lane. And Chris couldn't be here this evening, so he asked me to stop on. Chris had two concerns, one of which has already been addressed. He wanted to encourage a peer review because there have been a number of prior delineations of this property that have been different than this delineation. And I'm glad to hear that Ecotech has been hired, and basically, maybe perhaps you can email me a copy of the Ecotech peer review when it's ready for distribution. That addresses Chris's first concern. And second, there was an additional encroachment into the buffer zone. There was a drainage swale that had been dug on the property to drain the upland area, entering into the buffer zone towards wetland area B. And I don't know if that's being addressed as part of this project, but it was unpermitted activity, and we would like to have that issue resolved. And I don't know the current state of that channel or swale is.
Do you know what they're referring to?
I have no idea.
I can provide Hassan with
Sure.
photographs of what was dug out there. So.
Okay. That would be helpful.
Of course.
You just give me one for a second. Why don't we just work our way through the hands, and then you'll have your opportunity as well. So go ahead, Chen. Oh, all right, Father.
My name's Tim Montgomery. I live at 345 Hadley Road. I'm a butter.
Mhm.
I just wanted to speak out and say that compliment the church on having reduced the scope of this project by about 50% from the original plan. They did that in response to neighbor concerns about privacy and noise issues and that sort of thing. So they reduced the size of the field by 50%. They increased the buffer areas around to mitigate the impact on the neighbors. And I just want to say that's just the way it should work, and I compliment the church on doing that.
Thank you. Father?
I'm not sure what he's talking about. We didn't.
And you didn't, I know
I'm sorry, Father is showing Mikhail. I'm the priest of the church.
Sure.
I'm not sure what we are talking about. We didn't do any digging in that area at all. The only things is for the apartment, and I already talked to you about
Sure.
it. You came and you give us the, other than that, I'm not familiar with or am
Well,
aware
let's-
of anything at all.
Okay,
So,
all right. Well, we'll see what they have for information, so. Jen? And again, your name and address for.
Yes, Jennifer Way, 17 Hood Road. I'm a direct abutter on two sides. So I am, if you looked at the church from Hood Road, we would share the side from Hood Road to the back, and then also the back of my property, if that makes sense to you.
On the corner.
Yeah, so that would be our property.
No, they're
Oh,
right there.
there you go.
Okay.
So I'm very concerned because I've lived there since 1990, and the water table has changed considerably, and it really changed initially when there was a horse farm put in way back in the end of Fieldstone Road, and it's amazing just something like that changed our water table. And the back of my yard is very wet. I mean, my husband's mowing it right now because he can only mow it after 2 days after it's rained. It's a real concern about how wet our property has become. And it wasn't for the first 10 years we lived there. So although I understand that everyone's following, doing everything they're supposed to do, I have real concerns about my water table changing yet again, because it really has impacted our property. Would you have anything else? No? I think, but that's, you know, that's our
Sure.
biggest concern, because we really could have built back there or put something on there at one point, and I don't even feel comfortable with that at this point. And we own 43,000 square feet directly next to and in front of that property.
Okay. So Hassan, can you give any,
We don't anticipate any impact to your property or to this property. The grade over here is about 45, 46, 46, 45, 44. The entire site slopes that way. And if you look further into our stormwater report, you would see that the watershed delineation divides the work area or the site area into two different areas, area that drains that way and another area that drains this way. We don't really anticipate any impact to this property in relation to this project because it's much lower elevation. By the time you get here, you're at elevation 39, 38 compared to 46.
so I guess what he's saying, basically everything's sloping away from your property with the disturbance here. And any of that surface water, they're not proposing any subsurface drainage.
Just that infiltration trench, which is going to be underground, just to mitigate for that increase in impervious area. But again, all of the runoff is going away in this direction. Nothing is going up.
Okay. And I think the other opportunity you'd have at our next meeting, are we gonna have Merrill here as well, or just the,
We can. I wasn't going to, I figured the
Okay.
focus might be on the resource delineation, but
I don't think it is.
yeah, I think maybe, why don't we start out with just shoot a letter back to Merrill? Obviously, any time they send a professional here, then the applicant incurs more costs, but if we can ask them for an opinion on that, all
Great.
right?
That's I mean, it's a huge concern that's ongoing in our property.
Sure,
I see one.
sure. No, it's a open meeting.
I would like to comment about what Mr.
Auberg.
Said. Yes, most of the area will be grass, no change. And even the playing ground, I guarantee to you, it will not be that sizable. All what I'm looking for, a couple of swings or something
Sure.
like that. So they put a huge, in my opinion, that's a very big playground. So the grass, as you mentioned, is not going to change the to absorb the water. Basically.
Yes.
And again, I guarantee to you that playground will not be that big at all. So, but I just want to make this.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
One more thing.
Sure, John.
Sorry. And we could have had this conversation.
Sure.
I was just told it was gonna become a soccer field.
No, that's
No.
a completely was
Okay,
our.
and that's great too.
And that's exactly
Clear that up.
what it
Okay.
is. That's completely our.
Yes, sir.
George Canzelo, Metacomet Road. Could you please point on your plan to elevation 45?
Elevation 45 right here.
Did you say 45, Joe?
45.
Sure.
And can you just run the line with your ruler where 45?
It stops right there at the building, and then the limit of our topo stops there.
Can you please point with your ruler to elevation, would you say 39?
Elevation 39, right here.
And can you run that with your ruler? So that is 6 feet lower than elevation 45. Can you please point with your ruler to Ingrid Lane?
Ingrid Lane. Yeah. It's over there.
So is a general assumption, is it fair to assume that the water is going to run towards Ingrid Lane?
That's why we have the swales.
Can you please point with your ruler to the drainage swale? And do you have a detention basin on there, or is it just a drainage swale?
Just drainage swale.
Okay, can you please show me the general origin of the water and where the water is going to?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
In the 5-year, 10-year, 50-year storm, where will water go?
I don't have the entire report with me, but Actually, yeah, I do.
Is it, well, I'm just saying, is it fair to assume that it'll go to the lower point from 45 to 39?
Yes, certainly.
Okay, so it's going, can we assume that water's gonna go generally from the church's property onto Ingrid Lane and possibly affect anybody that travels on Ingrid Lane or
Yes.
abuts Ingrid Lane?
That's why we run the calculation, and we make sure that we mitigate the increase in runoff in accordance with the stormwater regulations and stormwater bylaw.
Hassan, those are existing elevations, right? Those
are
aren't,
existing elevations, yes.
okay.
Can
No.
you, I'm gonna ask you a couple more
Yeah.
questions. Can you please point to the general area of about 45,000 square feet that was cleared last year without a permit?
45,000 square feet
Yeah,
cleared
under
without a
brush,
permit.
under, you know, that was cleared.
I'm not sure where the area is, but here's the existing tree line.
Would be roughly, it's on the north side of Ingrid Lane, running from the house.
Then it goes up.
Into Ingrid Lane.
It's on Hadley Road, it's a dirt road.
All right.
This
Can
is
you
the
also,
existing-
can you also point to the 90-degree turn where Ingrid Lane turns and goes back
Wait a
towards the
second.
church
Is
building?
that it? This gravel road?
Hadley
And the
Road,
property
yeah,
line,
Yeah.
that
piece of Wood Road,
pretty much
yeah, it's here
abuts
in this,
the dog leg of Ingrid
We
Lane
had so
where it
much
heads towards.
The dog lane, which is this?
I can't really see that from here, but just, if you can show me the bend in the road, how's that?
Right here,
And follow that line to the end of Ingrid Lane, towards the church.
towards the church.
Yes. Okay, the property on your left belongs to somebody.
Yeah,
And the property on the left is wetlands as well, right?
we don't know that.
Okay, so, let me get to the point where I'm going.
Yes, please.
Water traverses from Ingrid Lane across that section of Ingrid Lane that goes to that lower piece of property. It's been said that these are isolated wetlands by some. It's also been said by some that they are not isolated wetlands, that these wetlands are connected. So the regulations, I believe, do change from isolated wetlands to non-isolated wetlands. So for that purpose, I guess as Chris has suggested, very interested to see the justification where one professional who says something different from another professional justifies that this is the forum for resolution of the matter versus the state being the forum for resolution of the matter under different sets of regulations. And if you were traveling on Ingrid Lane, you don't have to enter onto somebody's property to be able to determine if it's wetland. You can tell by vegetation, by standing water, and a number of other things. I'm kind of surprised you guys just didn't look 5 or 10 feet to your left. And
I think that's not an assumption you should make, Joe.
well,
Fine.
you know,
I think people were pretty observant of what's out there, but that's, you can make it a statement or you can ask a question.
okay, I think, you know, it should be looked at because it appears to some that the wetlands are connected and it's not
Okay.
all isolated.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Okay. And if I might add to that,
Yeah.
because this has been questioned and because the state had other maps and there's been various folks out there, and this isn't the first dance with this property. When Ingrid Lane was improved to accommodate homes that were built up there, we had questionable opinions about the wetlands back then. Where Ingrid Lane hits Hadley Road, we had 3 wetland scientists all flag that piece at the bottom of Ingrid Lane with markings 1 feet apart. But the difficulty there has been the soils and the makeup of those soils. And so in this case, you know, originally someone just did a cursory review. There was the state's GIS. The church hired a consultant to do a wetlands line. We went out there, commission members, as well as the state's circuit rider, looked at that. And then more recently, we had Art Allen from Ecotech look at these as well. So we've been out there a few different times, and we've looked around the area and feel like it's gotten a pretty good review, but I think those reports you'll have to get. And then at the next meeting, we can adequately discuss those, and there'll be environmental people here to help, hopefully, give you a little better answer.
Will we be able to get those reports from the commission?
I think Amy said, Adam just asked for that, so we can forward that.
And was ECO an independent?
ECO is Art Allen, who's an independent person hired by the commission to review Lucas Environmental's work. Lucas is the environmental consultant for the Coptic Church. We hired Ecotech to review that as well.
And then the stormwater will be dealt with.
And then Merrill Associates is reviewing the stormwater piece.
Yeah, we have some outstanding comments. We responded to them today, and I got you hard copies.
So I think I in terms of our diligence in reviewing this, I think the commission's gotten quite a bit of information on that as well, and we're happy to share that, and folks can take a look at it.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you. Anybody else? So we know that this is an area that's wooded, and we know that there's some changes that are here. And obviously they got looked at differently depending on whether buildings are being built there and other alterations are made, or drainage or whatever. In this case, it's primarily a field and a playground, but there's still changes that happen. And so we're reviewing all that with the people that we think that we should. We'll get all those reports, we'll get them digested, and unfortunately, we'll have to continue this till the 15th. And then at that time, hopefully all that information will be out there and folks will have an opportunity to look at that as well. But we do appreciate the comments tonight, because that way we can hopefully make sure that we've adequately addressed everyone's concern at the next meeting. Anybody else? So I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to continue 2731 Hood Road to July 15th at 6:20.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I think if anybody wants to talk about this when you're leaving, if the engineer's leaving or whatever, if you could have that conversation at the far end of the hallway so we can keep our meeting moving, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hazem.
184 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Thomas Jalkup. On July 1st, 2019, at 6:35 PM, the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Thomas Jalkup for work repairing a septic system at dwelling located at 184 CJC Highway, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Chris Murray. I'm an engineer with Morse Engineering. If you could just give me a second, I got 2 plans here. So I'm here representing Thomas Jalkup. He is the attorney representative for the Delaney family on 184 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. I'm representing their notice of intent application for a septic system at their property. As you can see, the property is shown here in bold. Chief Justice Cushing Highway is over this way, and they have a long driveway. The property backs up to the Herring Brook. The house is shown here in hatched lines in front of the property. There is a bordering vegetated wetland shown along the rear of the property, highlighted in blue. The 50-foot buffer is highlighted in orange, and the 100-foot buffer in green. The coastal barrier resource system is shown by a bold dashed dotted line, also along the rear of the property. The 200-foot riverfront area is shown on a slightly wider dashed dotted line, a little before that. I don't know if you can see that, a little before the coastal resource system here. And pretty much the entirety of the rear property is in a FEMA flood zone. We've shown the line here. It's elevation 60 degrees below that is in the floodplain. So So what we're proposing to do here is to replace the septic system. Currently, it's a 4-bedroom house being serviced by a single cesspool, which is also located in the 100-foot buffer. We're proposing to install a 1,500-gallon tank with plastic chamber leaching field. The system will be at a minimum distance of 58.3 feet to the wetlands. We're proposing erosion control barrier down gradient of the system to manage any erosion going towards the wetlands. All the plumbing from the house, and there's also a sink in this pool house over here, they'll all be running into the same tank. We think that this will improve the system due to the fact that it's a single cesspool, it's already in the 100-foot buffer. The distance between the cesspool and the bordering vegetated wetland is about 70 feet. We're proposing it go down to just under 60. I guess that's how I'd like to open up to questions if you guys have any.
Penny?
No, I think I'm okay.
Doug?
No, like, are those existing outlets from the sink and the other pipe coming out of the house, are those all going into the existing cesspool now?
Yeah.
Wow.
We found the clean, there's no record on file, but we found the clean out coming out of the pool house right outside the deck there, and we were told by the owners that it's running that way, so we were safe to assume it's probably running into the
So I'm going
system.
in. Okay. No question.
Richard?
Seems like an improvement.
It looks good to me. Jen?
Yeah,
Amy, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, it's a lovely spot, right?
yeah.
I mean, at first, I was thinking maybe it should go under the driveway, but, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there's a reason why you didn't design it that way, so.
There is. So there's a couple utilities coming out the front.
Yeah,
Also, the plumbing's already going out the back, and in the basement, it's pretty tight.
Yeah.
It would be a pain to get it to go out the front. There's a travel easement there, so with the 20-foot setback of the foundation, 10 feet to the property line, doesn't leave me much room to work with.
yeah, and it's, have you guys been out there? I
You have
mean,
to
it's all
pump it, too.
lawn sloping down to the marsh, but it's, it's a distance away. So my recommendation, I mean, I think that it appears to meet the requirements of the act and the bylaw. It's a good improvement, and I would probably vote to close an issue tonight. If you want to make the vote that way, we're ready to go.
Okay. Anybody in the audience for this one? All
I make a motion to close an issue then.
Second.
in favor?
Thank you for that.
So for RDAs, we have a 31 Tilden. This was continued from June 17th. Evening.
Evening. Peter Stain, representing Mike and Nadia Kelly. I don't have any, didn't bring any.
Plan? Do we have
I
any?
do.
Yeah, I've got,
Now you
Actually,
marked it up.
You want to give us I don't really remember this, to be honest with you, so.
Okay, so this is an addition that's already on the house that we want to tear off and rebuild in the exact same footprint.
Thank you.
It has wetlands, this wetlands delineation line goes right through the existing house. So we're hoping that we can rebuild.
The wetlands, the green, and then
Right,
just.
that's right.
So it's a buffer line for-
Is the 50, and that's behind it, yeah. I know my color.
Now I do.
Okay. So I'm sorry, where's the addition being removed or rebuilt?
So,
This part here. It's rebuilding that.
Yeah.
the screen porch
Mm-hmm.
right up to the street and back, this rectangle right here. It's coming out right back in the exact same footprint.
I see. So you're in the 100,
Yeah.
5100. Okay.
Remove existing porch, install new family only kitchen. Install new deck and stairs off the family room to backyard. Renovate existing master bath and laundry.
Could I see that?
Add half bath to first floor. Add new front porch. Do you
Can
want
I
to
see the picture for a second, please?
Sure.
Thank you. So this is what he's talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So the new deck is,
Right off
So,
here, but it's
put
not
that down
on
and
footings,
rebuild
it's
it.
gonna be on brackets off the side of the foundation.
Did they stipulate the material? What they're building with? Oh,
May
okay.
not matter. Anything?
No.
Doug?
Oh,
Paul?
Good.
what I'm looking
All set.
for.
Amy?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of comments on this. I think that the project meets the requirements of a -3.
Okay, anybody in the audience?
I make a motion for -3.
Negative's good.
Yes.
Second?
So you'll get
Second.
information from the commission, like you,
Is there a
Pick it up
waiting
tomorrow.
period
Tomorrow.
there's a,
or, you gotta wait till?
there's a 10-day appeal period, but you'll come in tomorrow and you can get that
Right.
from there. All right?
Thanks.
And then that information gets shared with the building department for your permit and that sort of thing. Okay?
all in favor, say aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks. 49 Border Street, conform a resource area on,
Well, hold on. On this one, I'm not sure we're opening it, because so this is an RDA for, to see if the work is applicable to the Wetlands Protection Act. It's not your standard that we see every day. One of the requirements is that the owner of the property be notified, and we have not received proof that that occurred. So while both parties appear to be here, I mean, I guess maybe we could, if everybody agrees, we can move forward, but otherwise, I would say we should wait until they've been properly noticed.
But if the person is present,
They know it.
it's called constructive notification.
Okay, well, I just am telling you that we've had complaints that they were not properly notified. And so,
Well, if you're not properly notified, maybe you don't have time to prepare for this? Is that part of the rationale? Even though they're here, they might not have.
I would say so.
But they were
So-
notified 2 weeks.
Amy, is it, we're here, it's been advertised, the property owner's here, can we open this? And if they request it to be continued, then we can continue it.
Seems reasonable.
That sounds good. I mean, open it and then immediately continue it for notification to occur. I mean, I'm just afraid
If
that if we
requested.
don't follow the proper
Mm-hmm.
avenues and it's dismissed because of that, then it would be a waste of everybody's time and energy. So,
Yeah, I think I actually called the office today to verify through Jen that when I came in a while ago, that the notification was sent to them. I think you gave me the date, it was June 23rd?
I emailed them
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
Well, you know what, the owners are here, so why don't you weigh in on this before we start?
The only way that we even found out about this was that Jen said, by the way, that your RDA is X date. And I said, what's an RDA? And she said, well, it's on your property, this is the middle of June. And
Sure.
Yeah.
we heard nothing, we didn't get anything. We actually went through the Mariner to see if the notification was in there. It wasn't, and it turns out it was on Nature Builder, which we don't get. But we got no notification in the mail whatsoever about it. So the first we heard about it was only a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't feel like we were totally blindsided. I don't think we.
Sure. So it's up to you. If we open this, you can hear what this is about. Certainly not expected to comment. This evening, we'll be happy to continue the hearing. And then that would give you some time to go forward. Or we can just prolong this. Sure. And just for the heck of it, you know the,
See you all
you know the drill.
Just again, on procedure grounds, and I don't, what the WPA form says, failure by the applicant to send copies in a timely manner may result in dismissal of requests for determination of applicability. So, I mean, to continue it is actually beyond the scope of regulation. Regulation.
So
is
don't open it.
So we haven't even opened it yet.
If he wants to resubmit and a new application be and such, that would be his right, but I would suggest to you, given the fact that he understood the burden of responsibility and didn't adhere to it, really doesn't make any sense to go forward or to continue it, right?
Jen was never notified, by the way. Jen luckily sent me an email, which is the only way I found out about it. He didn't even get an email.
Right.
He's been totally not notified.
Technically, I just, other than the fact that
I've
I'm married to my wife, I received absolutely nothing.
Sure. Well, we got a few other things to do tonight, so I really don't see the point in.
Yeah, the regulation says may
Right.
withdraw, it doesn't say shall. So again, to read it properly, it's really up to the commission whether the commission wanted to hear it or not. I don't have a problem with continuing it. Makes no difference to me whatsoever. I think the end result is going to be the same, so if we wait, I'd rather wait until the beginning of August, because I'll be away at the end of July, and I have no problem with that. Notification was sent. Again, I came to the office and actually asked if the commission would send it in, and they emailed it in at the same time that I filed it. So 2 weeks notification on an RDA is actually adequate, but if they feel like they want to come back in August, I'll be glad to step back in August.
All right, so still the question remains, we're here, it's been advertised, should we open it and then just continue it to August? And it's our discretion to be able to do that.
Oh, it's our discretion to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yes, no?
I mean, I think this is there's a little bit of gray area on how to proceed. I mean, I totally agree with Steve that the finding is gonna be pretty straightforward. He's asking whether or not this area is subject to wetlands protection or not, and it's a salt marsh, so it is. You know what I mean, so it's gonna be a positive finding, it's gonna be a positive one.
Right.
So we already know what the outcome's gonna be, but it's
Procedure.
not a public hearing, it's a public meeting, so it's your decision, really. Although, I mean, on this one too, I mean, I guess whatever you do could be subject to appeal.
Right.
So,
I'm inclined to, we have it in front of us, to open it and continue it into August, and then
just make the finding.
wherever it happens, it happens.
Right.
All right?
Yeah, go ahead, open.
So on July 1st, 2019, at the 6:15 meeting in Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Diamond Development for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaws to determine if an area depicted on a map is area subject to jurisdiction on property located at 49 Border Street, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
I make a motion to continue to August 5th, and it's an RDA.
August 5th,
Yeah.
Steve?
Steve, will you be back August 5th?
Yes.
Is August 5th enough time? Yeah,
Not to be jerk, but as of the moment, I have not been formally notified.
okay.
If we can be formally notified, and then the commission sets
Okay.
a hearing date, we will be there.
What
Okay.
constitutes a formal notification?
You're here in person, talking,
All right,
so
all right.
you've been cut out of
All
the
right,
hearing.
so
Yeah.
let's,
If they need a couple more weeks than that, I'm fine with that too. I want to make sure that if he needs a month, month and a half, you know, whatever he needs, I'll give it to him.
Okay. all right, so give this the date, Penny.
August 5th.
August 5th, I make a motion that we continue 49 Border Street to August 5th. And there's no time because it's an RDA.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 28 River Street, permeable pavers. Anybody here for Sure, come on up. On July 1st, 2019, during the 6:15 meeting at Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Jeff and Leslie Hubbard for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Situate Wetlands bylaws to replace an existing crushed stone with permeable pavers on the front area of property located at 28 River Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening.
I did not bring a plan either.
I always have a plan.
Thank you. We built the house last year. Actually, we were pretty much at a 1-year mark. And when we originally built the house, this is where in front of the house where we just park all our vehicles, we just put crushed stone at the time. One of the property was set away, kind of recovered from building the house. And we'd like now to remove that crushed stone and put permeable pavers.
Did the stone wash away?
No.
Didn't wash away?
No.
Okay, that's
No,
good.
where all this is, it's
I know
all
exactly
flat.
where you are, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I ever get water is in the back of the house.
All right, from the marsh, from the river, yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't have a problem
Any?
with that. No problem.
Doug?
No, it's fine.
Richard?
It's fine, it's a beautiful house.
Paul? Jen?
All set.
Amy?
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, this is in a coastal resource area, clearly, right? We do have the spec sheet, which shows that these are designed to be full infiltration install. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to put a condition on it so that, because the thing is with a negative determination, we lose control over the project, right? So we're not gonna be out there monitoring, not that we're out there monitoring for conditions, orders anyways necessarily, but, you know, we have a loss of control.
Yep.
We did receive the installation spec sheet, which shows that they are designed to have an underbase.
I think it's just important that the pavers be installed. There's a whole process to doing this, and using pavers, you know, folks will often do this as opposed to pavement, because water should be able to travel through there. But if they're improperly installed, they don't function as with any permeability.
So you just telling me that you want, before the pavers go in, to someone come out and see that the stone has been put in
Well,
place?
so I guess that we're hoping that they're going to be professionally installed by somebody that does this. I mean, it's
No,
not
my
really.
husband and I are not doing it. We'll hire
Yeah,
someone.
yeah,
But yeah, I think
It's more than a homeowner.
I think you want to make sure that the
project,
person
but-
that's installing this for you understands that it's not just, you know, digging this out, pounding down some hard pack and dropping the pavers. There's a process to make sure that these function.
Okay,
And
so
it's-
what do you
Right, so,
suggest?
well.
We'll just make a note on your RDA,
Yeah,
and then it's really going to leave it up to you to make sure that it's in compliance. Okay?
Yes.
If
So
you
the-
want to snap a few pictures while they're putting it down or something,
Okay,
if there was a
just
question.
so down the road, I had to prove to you that we did it.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, fine.
Well, it's to your own advantage. I mean, because you're going to want them to function. You're paying
Correct.
pretty big money for these things, so they're going to want to install them in accordance with the installation guide, which gives you a chart, you know, like sand, gravel, like,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
they go on top. Yeah, okay. And we'll reference that in the RDA, in the determination.
Okay.
It's kind of outlined too, right here in our IDA, everything they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Right.
It says the
Okay.
pea stone, the gravel, the blah.
yeah.
Anybody in the audience? Take a motion
I make a motion for -3
with the following.
with the follow-up Amy mentioned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
That's good.
Thank you so much, okay. I know, when you say negative, you're like.
I know, but that's,
Until-
one time it's good.
Okay, thank you so much.
On July 1st, 2019, at the 6:15 meeting in the Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Dan and Diane Burkhardt for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Situate Wetlands bylaws to upgrade the septic system located at 44 Ridge Hill Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Again?
Another septic.
My name's Chris Mullery, I'm an engineer with Morse Engineering, here today representing the Burkharts and their property at 44 Ridge Hill Road. The property is shown in bold here. The house is located in the center of the property, shown by hatch lines here in the center. There is a bordering vegetated wetland located in the rear of the property, highlighted in blue. The 50-foot buffer here is highlighted in orange, and the 50-foot buffer in orange, 100-foot buffer is shown in green. We're proposing to replace the septic system with a secondary treatment system consisting of a hoop tank, a pump chamber, and a geoflow drip system. We're proposing that the leaching field be set at a minimum distance of 59.6 feet to the wetland. You can see the setback here. We're also proposing a straw wattle be installed down gradient to prevent any erosion into the wetlands. Currently, there's no record plan on file for this system, but the existing system is currently located in the front yard. I believe it takes up almost most of the front yard at this time. And I think I'd like to open up the questions at that point.
Penny?
No, it's good to me.
Doug?
No question.
Very pretty.
No questions.
Jen? Amy, any comments?
No, I mean, the shed's a little bit tucked into
That's what I was
the
gonna
resource area. But I mean, obviously, it's an improvement, generally meets the requirements that we're looking for. Is there a Board of Health approval on this?
I don't think this one has a Board of Health approval yet.
Oh, then
You gotta wait then.
we can't do it.
Well, it's just a determination.
It's an IDA.
So we'll,
All right, oh, I see the difference, yeah.
but it's similar to others like this where we've taken them as RDAs. Again, you don't have a lot of control under a determination for this, but
Not gonna be any place else
there's
either.
no other place to go here, so I guess.
And I'm not 100% sure that it's not approved yet, but I'm inclined to think that it's not approved.
Okay.
So -3.
Yep.
I make a motion for.
Anybody in the audience?
I make a motion for -3.
Got a second?
Here, second,
All in favor?
Aye,
rest my case.
There you go.
you rested, okay.
238 Central Ave, 2 footings.
Yeah, I know.
July 1st, 2019, during the 6:50 meeting at Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Tracy Tomlinson for
Footing, I'm not gonna worry about it.
determination of applicability of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Scituate Wetlands bylaws to install 2 footings on an existing deck to reinforce weight of proposed hot tub. Property located at 238 Central Ave, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
How you doing? My name's David Costalis. I'm a general contractor in here for Tracy Tomlinson. Essentially, the homeowner bought a hot tub and I need to reinforce the deck. The engineer spec'd out attaching to the existing 4x4s closest to the house, but then also required 2 new footings about 6 feet off of the house. So essentially, the 2 new footings are going to be inside of the existing footprint. Here's the deck. I'm essentially going to be cutting out a section here, attaching the supports to the back here, and then digging 2 footings for 4 feet deep, 12 inches wide, and build off of that.
This is on the street side, correct?
Yes.
As opposed to the ocean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's essentially what I'm doing. Do you guys want to see the engineer drawings?
Sure. Since you brought them, somebody drew it.
Somebody should appreciate it, right?
Yeah, put some time into it, right? So he gave me 2 options, to have a platform right underneath the existing deck, and the homeowner wanted to opt for recessing it down more so you can just open up the cover and get into it. But this is the front view. You'll have your 2 new footings, 4 feet deep.
Slip and fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, not up to me. But it's gonna have 6x8 posts, 6x8 bench here, and then joist system on that, which the hot tub's gonna sit on. So I'm gonna try to dig them by hand. I'd rather not get a excavator in there, and I'll see how it goes. But if I can at least get car and then get my footing off of that.
You're just gonna hit lots of cobble.
Cobble.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's
Cobble,
gonna be
layers
really
of-
hard to
You
dig
may
that.
just want a little excavator.
You're gonna have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you'll wish for ledge. You'd pray for ledge.
I live there. You're gonna need help.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I'll have the guys do it.
It's like digging on marble.
We let the guys do it.
Just like shoveling marbles out of there.
Right, not fun. But that's long and short of what the project is.
Good.
No questions.
No, I think it's great you came in. That's the kind of thing a lot of people would just do, not realizing
It's really a
that
big
that
help.
was even,
Right. No, I appreciate
myself
that.
included, I would have probably forgot about.
Let's
Well,
not
we appreciate
like promote that.
I'm not promoting. I'm
Thank you.
congratulating the guy. I'm just
All
like,
right.
kudos
Thank
to you and your team.
Jen,
Looks good.
I'm good.
anything else, Amy?
No, Barrier Beach, Coastal Dune, Coastal Resource Area, thanks for coming in, and I recommend it, negative.
Okay. Anybody in the audience?
Don't be stealing that cobble and taking it home.
We really can't spare it.
All right.
Yeah, we
Take a
can call
motion.
on the beach. I made a motion for negative
Second.
3.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So I can submit the application tomorrow, the building permit.
Yeah, well,
You can submit it, I mean, the determination will be ready for pickup tomorrow afternoon, but technically, there's a 10-day appeal, so you work within your own
but you get
risk.
your sign off for the building so the building
Yeah.
inspector can give you a permit.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
not gonna get started till the end of the month. Anyway.
Yeah,
Okay,
you'll be
that's
fine.
great, yeah, no, yep, we'll sign off.
Alright. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
24 Atlantic Ave, repaved driveway and walkways. On July 1st, 2019, during the 6:15 meeting at Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Kevin Douglas for a determination of applicability to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Scituate Wetlands bylaws to repair paved driveway and walkway on property located at 24 Atlantic Ave, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Evening. I'm Kevin Douglas. So the storms, the nor'easters two winters ago, 2018, took up half of, not half, probably a little more than a third to half of the driveway and a little more than half of our walkway. I wasn't able to get any contractors last year because as everyone knows down there, it was crazy and it was tough to get anyone to do any work. So I didn't bother coming in at that time, but I came in this year hoping that we could repair that. I brought some pictures because I wasn't sure. I know someone from Conservation came up to the house, my wife said, and took some pictures, so I don't know if you have them, but I brought some.
Got them in my phone, but if you have them, it's fine.
Yeah, I was out there, pretty beat up.
It definitely was paid before, which is a
Yeah,
big thing.
definitely. So you just want 1 foot pavement down again?
Yes,
Oh, it's all full, okay.
Same dimensions.
yes. No, nothing added, it's just the way it was.
It's kind of grandfathered in.
Thanks for bringing big pictures.
Thank my
Normally they're
wife.
little 3x5s.
Mine was black and white and that was
Yeah.
small, so she did a better job.
We, Penny?
No,
Doug?
No questions.
Richard? Paul?
No, repair and maintain.
Jen?
No.
Amy?
It's grandfathered,
Yep.
repair and maintain.
So,
Yeah.
I think that the comment is that in a lot of cases, we're looking for folks to put less back on there. We're not taking away anything from what someone had before, and if you had that, then that's fine. The applicant that was in here earlier was using like a permeable paver or something like that as a way to mitigate some of the water that rushes across there, but certainly if you've had it before, the commission's not gonna tell you you can't have it. We just don't think it's always the best solution for that area, but we know that your alternatives are limited as well, so.
Thank you.
All right,
Make a motion for a -3.
Second?
Second?
And a negative just means that you're good.
I've been sitting here for a while, so negative is good.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Here we go.
126 Jericho Road. On July 1st, 2019, at the 6:15 meeting in Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Sean and Robin Sullivan for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act to install permeable pavers on the side of garage for a basketball court on property located at 26 Jericho Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Michael Lesher, landscaping by J. Michael, potentially doing this project. Basically, the Sullivans had approached me regarding putting in a basketball shooting area, half court, for their son. And they are, originally they were gonna go with pavement, and I said, I don't think so. So they were kind of, they're all ready to go, but their contractor didn't even allude to anything. So I told them there is a solution. I've used permeable pavers on several driveways, walkways in coastal areas with great success. So I've done about 6 of them, one down in Hummerock. So basically, what we're proposing is a 28 by 30 half court. It's actually much smaller than a half court. A regular court's 50 feet wide, so we're like a third of a half court. And it's going to be, the area is flat. There's existing gravel driveway there now, and the whole area is very flat. So not concerned about any type of runoff to that fact. We're keeping we're keeping the majority of that side parking area gravel. So there's still existing gravel there, so we're not going out to the edges of the planting beds. The way we would install it is we'd excavate anywhere from 10 to 12 inches, backfill it with a 3/4 inch gravel, and then we do 4 inches of like a 3/8 inch gravel crushed, and then we do like a chip stone for the bedding material, about 1 inch thick. We use a plate compactor with a rubber mat, and to get it all level, because you don't want your ball to bounce around. And then we'll be also putting a permeable concrete edging to keep the pavers from migrating and separating. So.
Okay.
No, it's on the street side. I don't have a problem at all. If you want to, there's a little,
I know what they look like.
yeah, okay.
Doug?
No, the only question is just like you've had a lot of success with these. I've always wondered about the any kind of upkeep or maintenance you have to do on these.
I did one on the Marshfield side of Hummerock. I did one on the ocean side of Hummerock. I think the one I did on the ocean side of Hummerock, I just had to re-stone it, and that's probably about, I think I did that in 2010.
You haven't had problems with
No, I did a full
pavers?
driveway over in Brant Rock, and where they get flooding that comes right over, no issues. This property, if you guys are familiar, I don't know, it's at the right crest, it's next to Monument Beach, or whatever that beach is
Yeah,
called.
it's right there on the
It
corner.
doesn't get water, which is very valuable down there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, thanks. I just,
They're at the right spot. in
I
the
go to
harbor.
these, I go to, different like seminars and things like that, and there's always somebody there selling those, and they're pulling a glass of water through it. But I always wonder what happens with, I mean,
if they're installed correctly.
if they're
I mean,
installed correctly,
Yeah.
they say that, I'm always worried about them silting over.
I think there's been a big push by these suppliers to educate the installers. There's a lot more workshops.
Teco was probably one of the first permeable paver companies. They're a Canadian company, been around for 50 years. Everyone since then, Unilock, Belgard, they've all got little branches, but Teco, I think, is one of the superior paving products out there. It's got a stronger PS, it's 9,000 PSI paver versus 6,000 or 7,000 PSI. So it's gonna hold up against any type of salt, all right, because I'm going with a 80 millimeter, which is a driveway thickness paver. So it's a lot thicker. because they are going to park a vehicle on it, on a light vehicle. And so if you go with a 60 mil, they could crack on you. So we're going by the book, I guess. Thicker 80 mil paver.
We're good.
Richard? Good.
Good?
Jen?
Yeah, that's fine.
Amy?
Yeah, I'm good. I spoke to Mike real quick about just getting us, just the spec sheet for the installation. He did a good job, verbally telling us, but if we could just have that for the file.
Yep.
And we'll note that you'll be installing them in accordance with the spec.
Stephen, you want to comment on this?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
But you're right. it's
That's
not
just the
paver
paver.
itself.
Okay.
There's another sheet of
Like
how to build
everything.
it.
All right, there's another sheet.
Well, he just put a nice pitch in for Teco, so for the 10 people that are watching us.
Yeah. I make a motion for a -3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
luck.
you.
Yep. Now they gotta get the price. Yes, I know.
All right, so let's wrap this up.
Certificates. Amy?
Yes, I was going to issue 4 tonight. More?
Yeah, 117 Lawson and 119 Lawson.
Oh, yeah, 117 and 119 Lawson, right.
Where, what?
Which is an old septic system from 2000. Okay, so we had already issued a C of C on that property about a month ago, and they went, I think they're selling the house, and up on the title popped a septic system. So we're gonna close that number out
okay.
too. Do you guys know the property? 117 Lawson?
Okay.
I know Frank and Penny do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys do. All right, 21 Bradford was a raised rebuild. 292 Central, repair base of the seawall. 8 Northy was a new build with your name on it, Doug, from 2001. 8 Northy.
What was new being built out there? I haven't seen that one coming.
It's a C of C for a new build. I'm single family home.
That was Northley's off of,
I thought that was all built out.
probably was hanging out there for a while.
Yeah, it's an old
We're gonna
one.
sell it.
Yeah.
They may be getting ready to sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
then
they're just now getting their COC?
Yeah, that's
No
how,
kidding.
that's what a
Happens all the time.
COC is.
that's how people
COC is a
roll.
document you get just before closing.
Yeah, and and they give you like 80 emails
Well,
leading up to it.
After you've done a
Well, no.
bunch of unapproved work.
Well, no, it would be wise if you, closed it out early and then you were done and you didn't have to
Like,
come
Yes.
back.
Wasn't
yes.
a panic.
Yeah.
Panic.
Or you hadn't made changes that weren't approved on the
Weren't
plan.
approved.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then they find out, well,
Lastly is 264 Central, which is a sale too, and this is, they had a handicap lift was installed
Yes.
and they.
Yeah, I remember
took it
that.
off.
Yes.
Yep.
yeah.
So those are the ones we're gonna issue, so that's a lot of signatures, but trying to keep it going.
Do I have to,
Good.
I don't have to recuse myself for that, because I didn't do the
No,
plan,
I
do
don't
I?
think so.
See, now you can't even remember what you...
There's gotta be some kind of limit on that.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we accept the orders of condition as written for 37 Otis Road.
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
We can do a quick enforcement update. So since our last meeting, I did send out quite a few letters. So we've got a few balls in the air. One of them is the Stock Bridge for Libresh.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're going to be getting a response from that one.
He was digging yesterday.
He's upset,
Oh.
is what we've heard. So,
He's upset.
well, he sent his neighbor in as a representative to convey that he is upset.
He sent his neighbor in?
Yes.
Oh.
Nice neighbor.
We've also got Townsend, who was in about the trespass on town property and altering town land.
We gotta, yeah.
So I sent him a reminder letter.
Yeah, he's supposed to get us a
Dates
cleaning
that
plan.
he's not off the hook.
Yeah.
We've got Toll Brothers stuff that's kicking around that we're trying to come to a resolution on, regarding the turtle. Phase 2, working that, so,
And we're
Well,
just,
did you decide on a fine for the other stuff?
that's what we're discussing.
Oh,
Amy and I
okay.
have spent time, we talked to the town administrator today,
Okay,
trying to figure out how to quantify it
yeah, okay.
and how we deal with it. So we're working towards that. And they're making progress, and they're feeling like they're anxious to move into the next phase, which, for what a lot of, people think it's already cleared, but there's still a whole nother section
I know.
to be cleared there. How can you say that with a smile?
Well, it's just, when I drive by there, I mean, those
Such a
houses
change.
are a lot bigger than what I thought they were gonna be.
Well, there are a whole cluster of homes, but
I
what I'm
know
saying
that,
is the next set of clearing, which is, people just don't realize it, they get used to one thing, but they're gonna keep clearing
I know
all out
they
in back of Wampatuck School.
Yeah,
So there's
right.
another whole
Yeah,
fairly
area.
substantial phase, but what they have to do before they clear that is hit certain milestones on phase 1. So we wanna make sure that all of their erosion control, their sediment basins, all those sort of things are at least in place and somewhat stable before they go digging up another area.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Are they going to do our replication before
It's-
they?
They've actually, a
It's
lot
done.
of it's done.
it's
Oh, okay.
pretty much done.
What about the vernal pool?
They've talked about that. So
Okay,
they wanna
yes.
go in and get it cleaned out
Yeah,
and then get it properly marked.
okay, that's all.
Yep.
In the marsh across the street?
The
It's
clean,
done.
they've done a lot of
They-
cleaning.
yeah.
We really should go back and just walk through it.
Yeah,
I
we
just
should.
haven't had a
I'd-
chance
I'd
to
like
do
to
that.
do
They're
that.
waiting on us.
No.
They took a lot of material out
Oh,
of
I'm
there
sure they did,
over
but
a
that's wonderful.
couple of
Okay.
days. Yeah,
Good.
I think that they think they're done there, and
Well, we
I don't
should
think
walk-
I would disagree. I've seen photos of what came
Yeah.
out of there.
Yeah.
I took a quick walk through it,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna go back. Maybe
Good.
another one of us can, but I think they might have a couple more things to do, but.
But
great.
it's still, I'm just hoping that, once it's clean, that people that dumped there before, and some did come from storms, but
Mhm.
nobody uses that as a.
Well, it's been dumping even
I
while they're under
understand.
construction, which is a shame. But the other part of it is all the backyards on the Avs and all those houses on the other side, when there's a storm, everything gets flushed out of their yard, and it
Yeah.
gets deposited in that marsh.
And they don't go and get it.
And
Right.
so,
I'd go
there's
get
a
it.
limit to,
Yeah, I
We,
know.
we have,
Well, it'll be nice to start from square one anyways, right?
Mr. Boyajian is making
Yes.
progress at 23 Oceanside. He's
Really?
installed his infiltrators.
Oh, they've finally gotten started.
Those are in.
Very nice.
Yep, and I don't know, reports of extra loan coming in over the weekend or late last week or something like that. But I mean, there's a approved plan, right, with specific elevations. So I think he's probably covering those infiltrators and establishing those in accordance with the plan.
you can't blame the neighbors for being concerned.
Not at
Well,
all.
yeah, every time something
Yeah, no.
happens, you gotta, yeah. Past history.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most of what I've got for you. Go Green, we received a letter from, you saw the letter from the attorney come in on Go Green.
From his attorney?
No.
No, there's a resident, I believe.
So, we walked out there.
Yeah.
And shortly after, there was a complaint that they're using dyes and chemicals
Oh, yeah, I heard
to
you
treat
ask.
the
Yeah.
mulch, and then there's some question about where they're actually working.
Yeah.
So I chatted with Dan Smith today at our DPW department. Dan's gonna take a look at information they have from other things like the windmill.
Okay.
And it's kind of gray. There's
Yeah.
different plots of land there. They don't all coincide with the assessor's map, but there's a bunch of background on it. So they're gonna take a look and confirm the lines, it's all town-owned, but whether it's under our jurisdiction, or whether it's DPW with the sewer treatment plant,
Right,
or the windmill.
yeah.
So we just need to know that they're in the proper area. The question of contamination or dyes, when we were there with Mr. Lopes, he told us that he was using carbon to
Yeah,
get the
right.
darker mulch.
Right.
We didn't see any other dyes or stuff for the time that we were there.
We didn't see any staining.
Right.
Yeah.
But now this, it's too bad that didn't come in a week earlier or something.
Yeah.
We could have.
Yeah, addressed it then.
But the town has a lease with him, so there's sort of like a bunch of departments. The fire department is monitoring like the accumulation of combustible material and stuff like that. So there's a lot being,
There's a lot going on down
Review
there.
it.
There's a
Yep.
lot of different pieces to that puzzle.
yep. So the commission has some party interest in that, and we'll continue to pursue it.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And we've been working with the planning board together on the stormwater piece of Toll Brothers and all that, so.
All right,
We're,
all good.
Amy's barely staying on top of it.
Well,
Jen's giving us some extra help there. So,
On which one?
any of them.
Doing the best we can,
Okay.
moving a lot of projects through, trying to do the right thing.
So then, you want to fill us in on the harbor?
Yeah, it's,
This is a group that's part of the coastal advisory and looking into
Right.
issues with flooding in the harbor.
yeah, and so MATC, they're like gonna be really doing all the studying and this and that. We got a grant, Brad got a grant, and we have to use this grant for this study. How to make the harbor more resilient, because let's face it, someday it won't be there. Possibly when a big storm comes. So anyways, basically, that's what it's gonna be, is there will be a plan when they're all said and done, in case the harbor goes. And let's be honest, you could only have a organized retreat up the hill, but is that realistic, But they do have, because they got the grant, they have to make a plan.
Right.
So there's going to be, a meeting in maybe 2 or 3 months again and so forth. But, I don't, how can I say it nicely? It's like, I don't see anybody relinquishing their houses on the hill for the harbor to move up, the shops to move up.
Well, I think
But,
there's gonna be a whole process, and
Well,
luckily
it
it's
is
not.
gonna be a
It's not a
process.
tsunami, at least we hope not. It's
Yeah,
gonna be this
right.
gradual.
3 millimeters a year, so they got some time.
Yeah, well, they do, but I think what it is that since they got the grant, like after the meeting, I spoke to Brad and I said, how realistic is all of this? And he says, well, the thing is, we got the grant, so if we have a plan in place, when it does happen, we have a plan in place.
I think part of it is getting people's mind around some of the stuff that it's changing, and they're gonna have to keep thinking about how that's gonna
Yeah, well,
affect them, right?
I don't know. We'll
So,
see.
but I appreciate your following
Yeah,
up.
no, it's just one of those things where they're basically gonna just keep coming back to us and telling us, we've done a study on this, we did this, we did that.
Sure.
So we'll see.
Well, some bad news, we got the bids for our access and parking, and they were over budget. This is
Substantial.
for, and, given the economy, it's not
Right,
surprising,
exactly.
but we were hoping that we had an ad alternate, we could eliminate one of the parking and access areas, but unfortunately, even removing that one, we're still about $50,000 over budget. So, Amy and Paul Scott and I met with the town administrator today, and we're gonna do a couple of things. It's gonna have to go back out to bid. We're gonna make some modifications to the plan, hopefully reduce a few pieces. We're also hopeful that we're gonna change the timeline a little bit with the hope that maybe contractors that are pressured to get a bunch of stuff done for the summer will have a little bit more of an opportunity to do stuff in the fall. Paul was gonna reach out to 9 or 10 sets of plans were sent out, but only 2 bidders bid. So we're gonna go back to some of the contractors that pulled plans and find out why they didn't bid.
Right.
And so we're hoping between that, and we're probably gonna make a second project and add alternate, and just so that everybody's on the same page, and this is been spending a lot of time on this. But the main project is getting our access road and parking into the Crosby property in Appleton Field, which right now is essentially non-accessible, except for a trail that some of the trails folks have made. Other than that, it can't really be used. And then Bates Lane has real limited access because there's no real parking up there. And then the other 2 parcels, the other 2 projects were off of Hollycrest Road, which is the Higgins-McAllister one. And although there's no good place to park or have access, you can access a lot of that property from Bates Lane. And then the Damon property has a rough driveway and parking area already in place. So my inclination is to try to get the Crosby property and the Bates Lane projects at a minimum completed. And then if we have enough funds, the next project to complete would be Higgins-McAllister, because there's really nothing there to park on. And we have had some discussion with the DPW that possibly we could work with them. We have some monies left over at the end for materials and some cost. We could actually work with the DPW and their equipment to possibly do part of that Damon property on our own and build on it. So either way, we're gonna get it done, and it's just too bad that because the trails end of this is moving along pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Jen?
it's just the economy. It got so good because.
It's a good thing we went for the whole thing, or we wouldn't have enough money to do anything.
Well, that's one thing
That's
that's
absolutely true.
really good, that it was a huge package instead
Right.
of saying so much for this one, so much for that one. And that then would be in a mess with CPC. So it's just a little disappointing because I know Frank, my brother, and even just Bassett, they have put many, many hours into this. You know, getting the plans together and all the public meetings we had and so forth. So it was a little disappointing, but the economy is what it is. I mean, it's a good economy, so that's
One of the things we
good.
do want to do, though, is, and I got to figure out how we can do this, I want to make sure that we do the turtle sweep in the allotted time that's required. I don't want to find out that we missed the window to do that, and then we can't start the project.
Yes.
So if for some reason this is going to get delayed, whether we can break that out and we can get that piece of it done, it would mean we're going to need an erosion person to go in, do maybe Toll Brothers, because they know how to do it now.
Now. Oh, we could ask them to do that as a mitigation.
Yeah, well.
Send their guys up to do our sweep.
What's that?
Beats the penalties.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that's a concern, and we need to look at that.
Well, we have to keep moving because
Yeah, because then you gotta wait another whole season
keep
for that.
escalating, and it's, I mean, we thought for sure we didn't have plenty when we got it, but.
But this is the same thing that happened years ago with the senior center. It just kept getting away from us.
Now look.
Do you have to go back to town meeting if you're not doing all of them at once? Does it
No,
matter?
no, I talked to Jim, and we're gonna try to complete some in some fashion or another, maybe not to the detail that we had, but we are gonna try to, like I say, if we don't do them in the formal fashion that we had, we'll have monies to at least do a portion of those other ones, working with DPW or whatever. So at the end of the day, there will be access and parking. It may not be to the level that we had hoped to create it, but we will get all those done in some.
I just wonder if it affected the CPC vote because they voted to do all of them. rather than now if you say do Base Lane and Crosby,
Well, that's what I'm saying, we're still gonna do something with the others, so that,
you gotta go back to money though, right?
no, we're hoping that there'll be some funds, and then we'll work with DPW and whatnot to create maybe a rougher
It'll be
version.
creative, Stephen.
The scope may change a little, but all the projects will get done.
So each one will be done to some degree.
Right,
Yes.
okay?
I emailed Cindy. You asked me to email Cindy?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. To share the maps that we had to date, as well as kind of the 2 that are in flight. And she was really excited to see them and get on the trails in the fall.
Awesome. Cindy Robbins is Maxwell Trust, and they've
Yeah.
been really helpful with a bunch of that, so Jen reached out to her with where we're at with that, and just, we want to make sure, like, the Damon property, there was some discussion whether it would be the David Damon Preserve, but the Damon family would like it to remain the Damon Family Preserve, which is sort of in line with the others, so just in that area, and the folks that have been doing that, we're fairly close.
Yeah. Getting closer. Another meeting in a couple weeks. Just keep
Chop, chop.
going. Yeah.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Penny.
You're welcome, sir.
What else?
That's it, I think. I make a motion to adjourn.
A second. Wow, we got a lot of seconds on that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Good.